The streets of the city looked like graveyards of forgotten dreams, where hopes were buried and smiles lived only in photographs. In one of those streets, inside a small dimly lit room, sat a young man named Zain. It wasn't just a room, but a frozen moment in time where breath still moved, yet life seemed to have stopped. Zain's eyes stared beyond the windowpane, but his mind wandered elsewhere. He remembered the days when his mother's cooking was the most comforting thing in the world, and his father's smile was everything he needed. But those days had long passed. Now, his parents lived only within the frame of a faded photo on his dusty wall. Zain had tasted the bitterness of pain since childhood. Once a brilliant student who topped his school, he now found himself polishing shoes on the pavement to survive. He had tried, oh, how many times he had tried. But every time, life had pushed him down again. Every dream, every prayer, every ambition was now locked away in some dark corner of his soul. When will it all end? This question echoed in his mind every night, unanswered. And so, carrying that heavy question, one night he walked to the old bridge by the river. The moonlight was quiet, and the wind whispered a haunting lullaby. Zain gripped the railing and closed his eyes. His heart pounded, but not with hope, only fatigue. Is this the only way out? His mind asked, but his soul was too tired to respond. And then, "Son, what are you doing here?" That was the moment when, in the darkness, a lamp began to glow. "Son, what are you doing here?" Zain flinched, as if awoken from a deep slumber. A stranger stood behind him, probably in his mid-50s, dressed simply, but with a face that radiated warmth. No pity, no judgment, just genuine care. "Leave me alone, uncle. You won't understand," Zain muttered with a trembling voice. "Maybe it feels that way," the man said calmly, "but once upon a time, I was exactly like you." Zain turned toward him. "Were you tired too?" "No, son. I had already given up. But then a stranger held my hand and said just one thing, if you can't be something, be someone for someone else." That one sentence became the start of my second life. Zain stared in silence. Tears welled up in his eyes. "Come on, let's get something to eat," the stranger offered. Zain slowly let go of the railing and followed the man, away from the edge, and unknowingly, toward a new beginning. The stranger, whose name was Salim, brought Zain to a small office-like room. The walls were filled with pictures of young people, some smiling, some reading, some in simple uniforms. Beneath each photo was written the same name, Zindagi Foundation. All of these are people who once lost the will to live. Now, they save the lives of others. Zain looked at Salim in wonder. "And me? Can I? Why not?" Salim replied. "You've already taken your first step back from the edge. That's the beginning of light." Over the next few days, Zain was given shelter, food, and more importantly, understanding. Someone was listening to him. Slowly, he started helping around the foundation. Cleaning, kitchen work, answering calls, small tasks, but each one made him feel human again. Months passed. Zain had changed. There was hope in his eyes now, kindness in his smile, and empathy in his heart. One day, a call came into the office. A young boy was seen on the bridge, about to jump. Salim looked at Zain and asked, "Are you ready?" Zain nodded. When he reached the bridge, the scene looked hauntingly familiar. A boy with shaky legs and tearful eyes stood at the edge. Zain stepped forward and called out, "Stop, brother. I know exactly how this feels." The boy turned, and listened, just as Zain once had to Salim. That boy, too, was saved. Today was a joyful day at the foundation. Zain had been officially made the head of the youth support unit. He now counseled others, ran workshops, and above all, listened to their unspoken pain. Salim placed a hand on Zain's shoulder and said, "You've become the lamp that once led you out of the dark." Zain smiled and replied, "Now my mission is simple, to hold on to anyone standing on the edge. One quiet night, while Zain was working in the office, a new boy walked in. Long hair, lost expression, and pain deep in his eyes. His name was Rayhan. "I'm not here for therapy. Just staying for a few days before I leave," he said coldly. Zain didn't push. He just offered a quiet room and understanding silence, because he knew some wounds speak first, and are heard later. Rayhan kept to himself. Didn't talk to anyone. Just sat in corners scribbling into a notebook. Zain slowly started sitting nearby, sometimes offering tea, sometimes just sitting in silence. One day, Rayhan finally asked, "Zain bhai, have you seen the bridge?" Zain lowered his eyes and nodded. Tears welled up in Rayhan's eyes. "My mother calls me crazy. Says men don't cry. But bhai, I break every night. Inside." Zain gently held Rayhan's hand. "You're not weak. You're human." Rayhan slowly opened up. He was a poet. His words were deeper than his wounds. But his father wanted him to be a businessman. His mother wanted him to be a real man. No one allowed him to become who he truly was. "How did you survive?" Rayhan asked one day. Zain handed him a tiny paper slip with one line, "Meet yourself, and the light will find you." Rayhan smiled, for the first time. Rayhan began attending small group sessions. He started reading his poetry to others. His words brought comfort to broken hearts. He once wrote, "We are the ones who burn to become light for others. We are the ones who don't die on the bridge, we live beyond it." Zain brought him onto the creative healing team at the foundation. The Zindagi Foundation soon launched a new project, Caravan of Light, a mobile team that traveled city to city, spreading awareness on mental health, confidence, and hope. Zain and Rayhan now work together, one a healer, the other a poet. Both had once stood on the same edge. Now, they were helping others step away from it. One of Rayhan's poems went viral. "Yes, I shattered, but I didn't break. I didn't fall from the bridge, I flew. I didn't fear the light. Because in the darkness, I became the lamp."